The old Hastings family farm was supposed to be my inheritance of quiet. After the corporate burnout, the divorce, the noise of a life that didn't fit, I, Rowan, came home to heal. My grandfather, Silas, the stern, weathered patriarch, agreed I could live in the farmhouse and tend the heirloom vegetable plots. "Keep you out of trouble," he'd grunted. The farm was my childhood playground, but one place was always forbidden: the old stone shed at the back of the property, nestled against the wild apple grove. It had a heavy oak door with a rusted iron padlock the size of my fist. As kids, my brother and I were told it stored old equipment and was structurally unsafe. Curiosity was met with a sharp look and a change of subject. Now, at 28, rebuilding my life one seedling at a time, the locked shed became a quiet obsession. It wasn't just a shed, it was the one mystery on an otherwise open, honest land. I tried asking Gramps again over supper of stew and fresh bread. "What's really in the shed, Gramps? I could help you clear it out." His spoon clattered against his bowl. The temperature in the cozy kitchen dropped 20 degrees. "That shed is not your concern, Rowan. Some doors are locked for a reason. You respect that, or you find somewhere else to heal." The finality was a wall, but curiosity, once it roots, grows in the dark. Late one afternoon, after he'd driven into town, I took a bolt cutter from the barn. The rusted lock gave way with a groan that sounded too much like a warning. The door swung inward on protesting hinges. Dust motes danced in the slanted sunlight. I expected rusted tools, maybe an old tractor. I was wrong. The shed wasn't a storage space, it was a shrine, a perfectly maintained, tiny indoor garden. The walls were lined with shelves holding delicate plants under the soft glow of grow lights. A climate hum filled the air. And the plants, they weren't tomatoes or roses, they were orchids of impossible colors, fragile ferns I'd only seen in books, and at the center, a small, twisted bonsai tree that looked ancient. Taped to the bonsai's pot was a yellowed label in my grandmother's elegant handwriting: "Hastings Spirit, last of its kind. Do not let him see." My grandmother, Alara, had been a botanist. She died when I was 5, her work dismissed by Gramps as frivolous flower pushing. He'd turned her greenhouse into a tool shed. This was her secret work, her masterpiece, and he'd locked it away. Beneath the bottom shelf, I found her leather-bound journal. The entries were a heartbreaking mix of scientific notes and personal sorrow. "Silas says my work is a waste of good land. He doesn't understand extinction. He thinks only of yield per acre. The Hastings spirit is thriving, a miracle cross-pollination. If I can propagate it, it could restore the blighted wetlands south of town. He must not know. He'd plow it under for corn." The final entry, a week before she died: "He found the shed. He called it a childish hiding place. He's taking the key. I've hidden the journal. If you find this, save them. They're not just plants. They're a future he's too afraid to see." My curiosity had just unearthed a family war, and my grandfather had won by burying her legacy alive. I didn't confront him that night. I carefully documented everything with my phone: the plants, the journal pages. I reached out to a university botany department, sending photos. The reply was swift and stunned. The plants were indeed rare, several thought extinct. The Hastings spirit was a groundbreaking discovery with massive ecological restoration potential. Armed with this, I went to my grandfather. He was on the porch, whittling, a picture of rustic peace. "I opened the shed, Gramps." His knife stilled. His face turned to granite. I read Grandma's journal. The granite cracked.
A flicker of pure panic, then fury crossed his eyes. You had no right. I had every right. You locked away her life's work. You called it useless while she was saving an entire ecosystem. You were jealous of her passion. He stood, his voice a low roar. You think you know anything? That land south of town, the wetlands, it was my father's land, my inheritance. She wanted to turn it into a protected marsh for her precious weeds. No crops, no income, just a swamp. She chose plants over her own family's future. The truth wasn't in the shed. It was in his twisted, possessive love. He saw her brilliance as a betrayal. Locking it away was his way of keeping her and his control intact. She chose a future, I said, my voice shaking. You chose the past, and you've been watering her legacy with guilt every day since she died, keeping it alive but hidden. Why? So you could pretend you won? The fight left him. He sagged into his chair, an old, broken man. I just didn't want to lose her, or the land. I thought if I kept her little garden, I don't know. He put his face in his hands. Forgive me, Gramps. It wasn't a plea for my forgiveness. It was a cry to the ghost in the shed. The choice was now mine. I could expose him, sell the discovery, become the hero. Or I contacted the university and the local land trust. I used my grandmother's research and my evidence to broker a deal. The Hastings spirit would be propagated. The wetlands would be purchased from our family at a fair price and turned into the Elara Hastings Memorial Wetland Preserve. The money would secure the farm's future. I told Gramps the plan. We're not selling her work. We're finishing it. And your land, her land, will carry her name forever. He didn't speak for a long time. Then he nodded. A single tear cut through the dust on his cheek. The shed door is now always open. The plants are being carefully moved to a new, proper greenhouse. Gramps tends to them every day, slowly, like an apology. My curiosity didn't just unlock a shed. It unlocked a heart sealed with pride and grief, and allowed something beautiful at last to grow in the light.